Hello, I'd love to share uh, a repatterning that I found really supportive, particularly in those moments where I feel like giving up, like everything just feels impossible. And it's from the resonance repatterning system that was developed by Chloe Faith Wordsworth, and it's living in tune with your light. And this repatterning is called Anything is Possible. So it's quite a lot of text. So just lie back or sit back and relax, and I'll be reading it to you, and so just absorb it. Okay, so life is a daring adventure or nothing at all. By Helen Keller. Optimism is true moral courage. Sir Ernest Shackleton. There is something exciting about secrets, something that is only known to a few, a mystery. Secrets come from the Latin to sift. Oops. That's exciting. And in this chapter, we'll be sifting what makes anything possible. The 5 secrets. All extraordinary people who do amazing things in their life put these 5 secrets into practice. Is it possible for us to do the same? I think so. This is Chloe, not me. Well, I think so as well, but anyway. Okay, so first, we need to know what the 5 secrets are. Then we need to resonate with them. And finally, we hardwire them into our brain by living them. Whether in our spiritual practice, family life, our creative expressions and hobbies, or in our work and what we want to contribute to the world. We are all part of the infinite field of vibrating frequencies talked about in quantum physics. When we resonate with the positive, it automatically amplifies and attracts what is positive, energizing, and life-giving from this infinite field of vibrating frequencies. Before looking at the 5 secrets, I'd like to share a story with you about a man who epitomizes all 5 of them. A man who resonated with the positive and attracted the positive from the infinite field of vibrating frequencies in spite of life-defying obstacles. Nearly always when I've read this, it makes me cry, so maybe not this time, but anyway, nothing wrong with that. The following true story is about Sir Ernest Shackleton, the man who failed to reach the South Pole, but whose achievement boggles the imagination. What he did has been called one of history's greatest epics of survival. Shackleton lived the 5 secrets that make this epic possible. In 1914, just as World War I was breaking out, Shackleton and 27 explorers, sailors, scientists, doctors, and a photographer set sail for Antarctica from the whaling station on South Georgia Island, roughly on the same parallel with the southernmost tip of South America. thousands of miles to the east of it. Their goal was to be dropped off on Antarctica and be the first to cross this frozen continent on foot. After 1 month of sailing south, and just 85 miles from their landing base, their small sailing ship, the Endurance, became stuck in pack ice and began to drift with the ice floes northwards away from their destination. In below zero temperatures, gale force winds, and 6 months of darkness, the ship drifted until 10 months after leaving the island of South Georgia, it was crushed in the pack ice, broken into matchsticks. The men set up camp on the ice floe, sleeping on ground sheets that weren't waterproof, living in linen tents that were so thin the moon could be seen through them, and sleeping in wet sleeping bags that froze into iron sheets. They had salvaged food supplies that would last about 3 months, and they had 3 small open boats. The ice floes were unstable, cracking open and closing up, sometimes only a few feet of ice between them and the sea beneath. Finally, they floated towards Elephant Island, 800 miles southwest of the whaling station on South Georgia Island, where their journey south had started. Shackleton decided the time had come to leave the disintegrating pack ice, take to their 3 small open boats, and face the most dangerous part of their journey. They now had to keep to the open water and escape being crushed whenever 2 large masses of pack ice clamped together. Seasick, sleepless, exposed to constant rain and snow squalls, soaked through in -7-degree temperatures, they attempted to make a run for Elephant Island in gale-force winds that blew surging waves into their boats. After 2 days and nights without water or hot food, with swollen lips, boils, and dysentery, they now faced the precipitous coastline of Elephant Island. They had spent 7 days in open boats on the South Atlantic, 6 months drifting on ice floes with inadequate clothing, shelter, and food, and it had been 16 months since they had set foot on land. Somehow they got through an opening in the reef. Exhausted, they slept in their wet sleeping bags in a blizzard that ripped the largest tent to ribbons. The day after their arrival on this narrow spit of land beneath towering cliffs, Shackleton announced another momentous decision, that 6 of them would sail in the 22-foot open boat for the whaling station on South Georgia Island, 800 miles to the east, across the most formidable ocean on the planet. They knew they would be sailing through the notorious Cape Horn rollers, measuring from trough to crest as much as 60 feet in height, with winds at 80 miles an hour or more. The group that Shackleton had selected spent the next 16 days on this epic journey. An intense gale that lasted for days soaked every 3 to 4 minutes, day and night, having to chip ice from the boat so it wouldn't sink under the extra weight. With 2 of the men close to death and 2 days without any fresh water, they finally neared South Georgia Island, only to face jagged reefs spouting water 40 feet into the air. They waited out the night in the hail, sleet, and snow in a hurricane that drove them toward the jagged coast. The small boat sheered away from the cliffs, and suddenly the hurricane, which they had fought for 9 hours, subsided. The next day was spent trying to gain entry through a gap in the jagged reef line. Finally, after the 5th attempt, they made it through. Only later would they learn that a 500-ton steamer was wrecked in the same hurricane they had just weathered. And years later, they would learn that their voyage was ranked as one of the greatest boat journeys ever made. But their journey was far from over. After 4 days of waiting out bad weather, Shackleton decided that with their level of exhaustion and the jagged coastline, it was too dangerous to try to reach the whaling station by boat. He announced that 3 of them would cross the unnamed glaciers and unmapped snow-covered mountain range on foot and would come back by boat for the remaining 3 men. With 3 days' minimal provisions and no sleeping bags, Shackleton and 2 other men began their ascent across the mountains that no one had ever ventured through. They travelled for 36 hours without rest. Exhausted, their filthy clothes in tatters, their bearded faces black with blubber smoke, they finally arrived at the small whaling station on the other side of the mountains. Later, an old Norwegian whaler described the meeting when they arrived at the station manager's home. Managers say, "Who the hell are you?" And terrible bearded man in the center of the 3 say very quietly, "My name is Shackleton." Me, I turn away and weep. Finally, they had their first hot baths, clean dry clothes, and plentiful food in almost 2 years. They quickly picked up the other 3 men waiting on the far side of South Georgia Island. But with World War I raging in Europe, it took 4 months and 4 different attempts before they managed to get back to Elephant Island through the ice floes to save the 22 men they had left there. Shackleton's vision was accomplished. Every life was saved, and each man made it safely home. Amazing and inspiring as this story is, we may wonder what relevance his epic has for us right now in present time. The lessons of this story are timeless. Like all great achievements, Shackleton's extraordinary leadership teaches us about the 5 secrets, which prove that anything is possible, and that each one of us can resonate with them and apply them in our own lives. So we can all have an inner Shackleton, as my friend said. Okay, so the first secret is vision. Shackleton had one great vision that he held on to through every horrendous challenge he and his crew faced, and which determined every decision he made to bring each man home alive. If we want to achieve our own greatness, we need to ask ourselves, what is the vision that brings purpose to my life, that I can live with passion, and that determines every decision I make? Kind of like a guiding star for our lives. A true vision is what inspires us and brings meaning and purpose to our life. It is something we want to live every day for the rest of our life, something we are deeply passionate about. It is something that directly or indirectly helps others. A true vision is not about money or security or power or material well-being or fame and name. These are desires and goals. A true vision may involve the opposite of these desires: no money, security, power, well-being, fame, or name. Viktor Frankl, who wrote about his experience in a Nazi concentration camp, said that those who had a sense of meaning were often the ones who survived, even though they weren't necessarily the strongest or healthiest. Without meaning or vision, even stronger, healthier people couldn't make it through. So we need to remind ourselves every day, what is my vision? What brings purpose to my life? It is this vision that motivates us in our life. The second secret, acceptance, free of resistance. Yeah. The second secret is to accept what is, free of resistance. Those who powerfully transcend great challenges always accept the reality of what is. They don't waste their energy fighting, resisting, or complaining about the reality of what is. They accept and go into action. Shackleton lived in the present moment. He accepted what is. He constantly moved into action towards his vision. Complaining, blaming, criticizing, gossiping, talking about how hard things are achieves nothing. This negative attitude depletes our energy and makes coherent action impossible. Which I'm sure I'm not the only one who's experienced the opposite of acceptance free of resistance. Okay. The third secret, let go of regrets. The third secret each one of us needs to resonate with is to let go of regrets. The men of the Endurance said that Shackleton never gave in to regrets. Standing on the frozen ice floe and watching his ship being crushed to matchsticks, a moment he was unable to write about in his diary, he let go of the pain, free of regret, no what if. He spent no time wishing the past could have been different. He kept his eyes and thoughts on the present moment and on the vision he was determined to achieve, that each person there would survive and make it home. This secret is more important than we realize. How many of us do small daily irritating actions that we wish we hadn't done, or get irritated at actions we wish we didn't have to do? How many of us then make the situation worse by wasting our energy regretting our thoughts and actions? Instead, if we put secret number 3 into action, we recognize what is, we accept that negative thoughts and actions will never take us closer to realizing our vision. So we let go of regrets, pick ourselves up, and get to work once more, moving towards our vision. The fourth secret, hope and optimism. The crew of the Endurance said that Shackleton was totally optimistic. No matter what happened, he maintained his sense of hope. As he said to himself, optimism is true moral courage. He upheld the morale of his men through almost 2 years of unsurpassed challenge through his optimism and hopeful attitude. Again, by resonating constantly with hope and optimism in our own life, we can avoid the hopelessness and negativity that weaken our immune system and deplete our energy reserves. Optimism helps us cross the sea of our own challenges. And the fifth secret is persevering action. Never giving up until we achieve our vision. Walt Disney is an example of persevering action. He went bankrupt 4 times before he finally became successful. This secret is about keeping on no matter what, until our last breath. Persevering action is what keeps us going in the face of every apparent failure. If Shackleton had given up, all lives would have been lost. How many of us become hopeless and give up in the face of obstacles or apparent failure, or when our dreams don't materialize in the way we want them to, or when we want them to? Can I pronounce this? Muhammad Yunus had a vision to eradicate worldwide poverty through microcredit to the poorest of the poor. In following his vision, he faced one obstacle after another. In the beginning, one of his big hurdles was persuading the poverty-stricken women of Bangladesh, who earn 1 or 2 cents a day, to accept his microloans of $5 or less. Day after day, he would return to the village, talk to the women, win their confidence, until finally a few had the courage to break the social rules that mired them in submission and poverty. 42 families finally accepted his very first loan, a total of $27. Now, 30 years later, the Grameen Bank he founded has lent $6 billion to nearly 7 million poor people, 97% of whom are women. Anything is possible when you radiate the light of your vision. As Yunus writes, we achieve what we want to achieve. If we are not achieving something, it is because we have not put our minds to it. we create what we want. Here is a man who lives the 5 secrets: vision, accepting what is, letting go of regrets about what doesn't work, maintaining his optimism in the face of every challenge, and persevering through obstacles that are beyond our imagination. Thinking of ourselves in the same light as people like Ernest Shackleton and Muhammad Yunus seems laughable, but the 5 secrets they lived are not so impossible. Once we resonate with the 5 secrets and put them into action in small ways in our daily life, we become energized by them. Our life takes on a bigger meaning. We experience for ourselves that living these 5 secrets gives us access to the field of limitless possibilities for a life where we make a difference, not only for ourselves, but to all those we touch. The power of one starts with each person, and it can be us. And I'd just like to add that we're all doing, this isn't about giving ourselves a hard time about, it's with compassion, Okay, so now we're going into the repatterning part of it. So just pause for a moment and just what is that story? The Shackleton story and the story about eradicating poverty. What does that bring up for you? Okay. And just notice how you feel when you don't manage it, and you don't manage to live your vision in any moment, or if you struggle, if you come up with an obstacle. And notice if you have any regrets so far. And it's also you may not know now what your vision is, and that's okay. It will comes in its own time. But as it says here, greatness and achieving great things in your life begins with a vision that inspires you, and it will be different, totally different for everyone. And a vision is not just an action or a goal or doing something that gives you pleasure. A vision is big. It is demanding, challenging. It is also your lifeline, something that you don't want to live without. Having a vision and maintaining it through thick and thin is part of your growth and inner evolution. Meeting the challenges of your vision strengthens you and makes you develop as a human being. Each action aligned with your vision makes you receptive, even in the smallest way, to the field of limitless possibilities talked about in new physics and ancient wisdom traditions. The field of limitless possibilities responds to a coherent vision, even while it demands constant growth by overcoming all inner and outer obstacles that arise on the way. And if you don't accept what is happening to you, the resistance causes constriction and tension in your body, mind, and feelings, which results in more stress, upset, or pain, and creates unnecessary obstacles to the achievement of your vision. Acceptance represents a highly vibrating, coherent frequency. When you resonate with accepting what is happening to you, free of all resistance, you tune into this highly vibrating frequency, which helps you transcend the difficulties or pain you're passing through. The sword wound is transformed into a pinprick. The high state of coherence that acceptance brings can, even by itself, have what appears to be miraculous benefits, whether self-healing or the strength to face the challenges you're going through with inner calm. Acceptance does not mean you're passive or that you give up. Acceptance always involves assertive right action. It is said that people who survive extreme situations, for example, airplane crashes in remote mountain areas, are those who accept the reality of what is and then go into unhesitating action. When you refuse to accept the reality of what is, often going into complaints, blame, upset, or hopelessness, it creates stress. Stress creates a non-coherent, chaotic frequency field that makes unhesitating action, self-healing, or survival difficult or impossible. In response to daily upsets or stress, if you repeat, I accept whatever it is that you're not accepting, free of all resistance, even without changing your resonance, you'll notice something positive begins to happen. So my version would be, I accept that we're not all living in natural paradise, and that the natural resources are still in the hands of a few, and not everyone has enough to eat and enough water to drink. And so I accept that, and I continue to do my bit to bring that about, my tiny little part to play. So again, just notice whatever it is that you're not accepting, and accept that you're not accepting it, and just breathe and just allow it to be as it is. We spend a lot of time and energy regretting what we've done or said, or what we have not done or said, and also waste energy thinking about and regretting the outcomes we want but have not achieved. Regrets take energy and spiral us down to a depleted state of despondency, hopelessness, and even depression. In such a state, our mind reacts and we do actions that take us away from our vision rather than towards it, and these actions lead to further regrets. If we want to achieve our vision, we need to be receptive to the higher learning in every regret, and then let go of the regret itself and move on. Every time we resonate with the learning of any regret we have, we will automatically go into some kind of positive action towards our vision. So again, just notice any regrets that you have in your life so far. Notice them. What did you learn from them? And then recommit to doing it differently next time. And what is there to feel hopeful or optimistic about? And what are you grateful for? So they say that appreciation is the kind of the highest frequency. And it's kind of just saying that the mystery, that life does know what it's doing, that life didn't get it wrong. That's how I put it. Because I spent a lot of my life thinking that what happened to me when I was younger shouldn't have happened, that it shouldn't, but it did. And it kept me stuck for a very long time. And so now I'm not condoning what happened. However, it did happen, and now my power in the present moment is to make different choices. So hope and optimism and gratitude boost your immune system. They keep you alive and healthy. They motivate you to keep going no matter what the obstacles. They give you faith. They keep you growing towards your vision. And they make you receptive to the limitless field of energy, which makes all things possible. So for me, the bottom line is I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I'm breathing. So everything else, it's bonus. It's a bonus. I'm in bonus time. So, and the fifth one, there's a lot more. Okay. Manifesting positive thoughts, intentions, and our vision in the physical creation is difficult, to say the least. It takes work and commitment and unbelievable perseverance. Seemingly insurmountable challenges may beset our path. Often it may feel easier to give in to our mind's desire to give up, rather than overcome the obstacles we're facing. In the final leg of Shackleton's journey, they spent 36 hours climbing over unmapped mountains and glaciers to get to the whaling station on the other side of South Georgia Island. Shackleton and his two companions, in a state of exhaustion and with no food, water, or shelter, lay down to rest in the snow. Shackleton knew that if all three of them slept, they would never wake up. So he forced himself to stand up and stay awake. After 5 minutes, he woke up the two men, telling them they had slept for half an hour. Shackleton lived his vision every second. His vision to bring every man home alive determined every decision he made. To achieve our vision, we will have to face the resistance of our mind, emotions, and body, because they want the easy way, the way of least resistance. But we need to appreciate that there is also power in resistance. An airplane cannot land when there is not enough resistance in the air. When the temperature rises about 120 degrees Fahrenheit, for instance, when a bird's wings meet the resistance of air, it flies. When a fish's fins meet the resistance of water, it swims. When our feet meet the resistance of the ground, we dance, jump, and run. When Shackleton resisted his need to sleep, he was empowered and saved the lives of his whole crew. But our pleasure-loving mind and emotions want things to be easy, enjoyable, and free of resistance. We need to accept that working towards our vision requires that we face resistance, obstacles, and problems. We need resistance if we want to fly. So it's kind of letting go of the, like with addiction, letting go of that short-term reward in favor of the long-term joy of, doing what on a deeper level we really want. So by successfully handling resistance, great things are achieved. We gain the strength and capacity to achieve the very thing we most want, the realization of our vision. Each obstacle we meet makes us stronger and more capable of handling the next obstacle, until finally we attain our vision. At the very least, we will live a visionary and heroic life trying, and that's all that counts. I just want to share, it's something that used to really annoy me. I had a stepfather who beat me for, it was 20 years and told me I was worthless and, all of that. But he also said that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And again, I don't condone that, what he did. However, I appreciate the strength and the perseverance that all of those experiences gave me, and my firm intention that I would love that to not happen to any future generations. So that's my vision, to keep children safe from harm, and to break that cycle. Every obstacle we meet makes us stronger and more capable of handling the next obstacle, until finally we attain our vision. At the very least, we will live a visionary and heroic life trying, and that's all that counts. The vision we have changes us, molds us, and ennobles us with its demand that we rise above any weakness that comes between us and our vision. Athletes, dancers, and musicians, with a vision to reach the top, to be the best they can be in their chosen art form, constantly face the hard daily work, the exhaustion, and the intense climb towards perfection. The finished result is beautiful. So it's like, it's finding that joy in the hard work, that satisfaction every day. It's like, I really went for it today, So it is with us. With each daily resistance we meet, by living the 5 secrets of vision, acceptance, letting go of regrets, maintaining our hope, optimism, and gratitude, and continuing with persevering vision, we too become beautiful. The beauty of living at a higher frequency, which directly or indirectly inspires others to live their vision. So what persevering action are you ready to commit to? It could be a really, really tiny thing, really tiny. And I would recommend choosing something. Maybe it would take you 10 seconds a day. Maybe that's where you need to start, but it's something that you can do. I learned the hard way of setting myself ridiculously unachievable everyday goals, which fed the feeling of failure. So now I just set tiny little things that I know I can do and build on that. Okay, so in a moment, so no, not a moment now. So I would encourage you to. I'm going to put a link that you'll see to some music that I've recorded that I use regularly to to support myself to stay committed to my vision. You're welcome to use those, and also you could simply choose some music that you love and just feel whatever it is you want to commit to, what vision you most want to commit to, and breathe that into your body, breathe it into every single cell, and put on the music and just dance. Just celebrate the fact that you are alive in a body. And it could be that you're not able to stand up and dance, so you could lie in bed and just breathe and celebrate the movement that you do have. You could go out in nature and just move to the sounds of nature. Or if you don't feel like doing any of those things, just choose something that you intuitively feel will support you to stay committed to your vision, your guiding star, what matters most to you. Okay. Thank you.